So earlier this week, down the hall on ESPN 1530, I'm getting set for the show with Tony Pike. And I'll be honest, there's not a lot going on. As we like to say, the cupboard is bare. And we're trying to think of some things to talk about. And I don't do this often, but I've whipped out ChatGPT. I don't know if you use ChatGPT on a regular basis. I don't. I try not to. It's only when I'm really in a pinch will I pull out the AI, because I have no interest in it, and there's a lot going on with AI that I don't want to be a part of. I said, if you were to be producing a sports talk radio show today, what would you talk about? Give me some topics. Give me a rundown of the show. And to its credit, impressively, it built a rundown very similar to what we do every day without its help. And it had these various different topics. And one of them was, is Zach Taylor only good because of Joe Burrow? That's a classic question that we talk about around here. And all these different topics and stuff that we've covered and a lot of the normal stuff. Nothing really groundbreaking. But there was one question that it offered, and that question was, are Cincinnati sports fans too negative, or are they just scarred? Now, that hits you in the chest, doesn't it? Hits you like a ton of bricks. And it was especially pertinent to me in that moment because this past week, we went through or celebrated. I don't know if celebrated is the right word, but there were a couple of anniversaries from years gone by with the Reds and the Bengals. The first was Super Bowl 56. It was 4 years ago this past week that the Bengals lost to the Los Angeles Rams in Super Bowl 56. It was also 26 years ago this week that Ken Griffey Jr. was acquired by the Reds. I just need people to understand fully for a moment. That's like Shohei Ohtani signing with the Reds today or being traded to the Reds today. That is so insane that happened. And it makes me think about the years that followed. It's made me think about the years that followed the Bengals over the last several years since they were in the Super Bowl and how maybe those two things are similar. And let's start with Ken Griffey Jr. Comes here in 2000. He's the best player on the planet. He's one of the most popular athletes on the planet. In that first season with the Reds, he was an all-star in 2000. He hit 40 homers. He drove in 118 runs, and the Reds had 85 wins. They didn't make the playoffs. In 2001, he missed some games due to his injuries. He had 22 homers and 65 runs batted in. In 2002, he missed 92 games. The Reds only won 78. In 2003, he missed 109 games. The Reds only won 69. He bounced back well in 2004 despite playing only 83 games. He had 20 homers, 60 RBI. The Reds only won 76. 2005, he won the Comeback Player of the Year. He played in 128 games, 35 homers, 92 runs batted in. The Reds only won 73 games. 2006, he played in 109 games, 27 homers, 72 runs batted in. Reds only won 80 games. 2007, he was an all-star again, played in 144 games, 30 homers, 93 runs batted in. The Reds only won 72 games. So after the first season of Ken Griffey Jr. in 2000, the Reds did not have a single winning season throughout that entire period. And Jr. was hurt a lot, but as you can tell, there's still a lot of very productive Ken Griffey Jr. seasons in that list of years that he was here. And yet the organization never adequately built around him so that they could win a championship. When you go through some of the names of the pitchers that pitched in that era for the Reds, it's laughable. It's embarrassing. It's hard to believe that they never really did enough to build it into a winner. And this has become a thing with the Reds. They did the same thing with Joey Votto. They get an MVP, a generational talent, the best hitter the franchise has ever seen, and they don't do enough around him to win. Now, 2012, that's probably a different story. They were that good in 2012. I think they could have won the World Series, but still, they didn't. They haven't won a playoff series since 1995. And so it makes me wonder, are Reds fans or are Cincinnati sports fans too negative, or are they just scarred? Because when you look at the discourse around Joe Burrow, it's the same thing. Here's a generational talent. Here's the best quarterback in franchise history. He went to the Super Bowl. He went right back to the AFC Championship game, and then it's injuries, injuries, injuries. Now, 2024 was an unbelievable year. He had an MVP caliber season. He put the team on his back over the final 5 games. He finished with a winning record and missed the playoffs. The defense, historically bad. And you think, well, surely they won't be that bad again in 2025. Well, they were. Just as bad, if not worse, were the 2025 Bengals. And it made me think, all this negativity around both these franchises is because of the fact that we've seen this movie before. We know how it ends. Ken Griffey Jr. is a perfect example. Organization didn't do enough to build around him. Injuries didn't help things, and at the end of the day, you got nothing out of it. That's my biggest fear about the Joe Burrow era, is that it's going to end up just like Ken Griffey Jr., where the organization doesn't do enough to build around him, and the injuries don't help, and by the time it's all said and done, we're walking out of here empty-handed again. So, yeah, Cincinnati fans are negative, but they're negative because they're scarred, because they've seen this movie before, because they know how it ends unless something changes. It feels like for the 3rd year in a row, we're talking about how this is the most important offseason in Bengals history because of the ramifications it has on their ability to win the Super Bowl in the future. The draft, the free agency, the amount of money they have to spend, the extensions to the young players, all the things that are on the plate of the Bengals right now so that they can continue to build around Joe Burrow. The offense clearly is not the problem. Are they going to be able to do it? Was this season and the season before, were those two enough of a wake-up call to say, oh, crap, if we don't get our you-know-what together, we're going to walk out of here empty-handed as well?